So all of you remember, right? So you can think of certain questions, take down some questions. You don't have to write, don't worry. Just take down questions. What are urban heat islands? What are the steps taken? What are the steps to be taken? What are the steps to be taken to fight this phenomenon? Second question. Between, what is the difference between judicial activism, overreach, and evasion? EVASION, evasion. Third question. Which countries countries share boundary with Black Sea? Right. Next one. Fourth question. What are Abraham Accords? Abraham Accords. ACCORDS. What are Abraham Accords? How can India? How can India that's it. Right? So these are the basic questions you are supposed to know from yesterday's newspaper and today's newspaper. So how many of you know this bare minimum content? How to write? Don't worry, I won't force you to write. Just think about it. How many of you know the basics? Yes? No? Have you read yesterday's Indian Express? There is an article by Dr. C. Rajamohan, a new quad in West Asia. How many of you have PSIR as an option? Okay. Suggested for you to kind of, especially whenever Arasini Haidar writes an article, it's supposed to be read by PSIR optional students. So we will try to understand what he's trying to tell you through a new quad in West Asia. Is Iran. Okay, just remember that part. The rest of the theme is easily understood. Iran dominates Iran, and Iran dominates a particular geographical area. Right? Once you understand that, the rest of the thing is covered by Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia dominates. So, so we'll start the story. Where was I? Was telling that Saudi Arabia dominates the rest of the region. So before going into that thing, first we'll understand the policy of Congress government. What was a policy of Congress government? Israel and Palestine are one issue. Palestine and Israel. That means whenever India goes to Palestine, automatically go to Israel, Palestine visit will happen. So that used to be the Indian policy. And even today in 2021, state policy. Congress assumed, okay, without any empirical data, Congress assumed India, and we are done the for if we do hands with Israel. So that was the assumption of Congress. But they never took the risk of totally encouraging the friendship with Israel. Israel is a very progressive because of the like or the external. They grew very culture and in defense also. Okay, so but we student could not take the help of because in 2014 the government came into power. It dehyphenated Israel and Palestine. Dehyphenation means Indo-Pak. Afghanistan. That hyphen has been removed. Israel is Pakistan, Palestine, but the overall two states. We encourage was dominated by Israel and Saudi Arabia through informal dealings. I mean, no country is directly saying Israel because the rest of the Muslims will fight with you. They dealings behind this. But India had no such problem in do that deal. Now, right? Now, so why this? Why now? Why are countries okay to deal with Israel openly? Why they are not afraid to show their friendship with Israel? Israel is a Jewish country, right? But still, why Saudi Arabia, why Yemen and UAE and other countries are okay to deal with Israel directly? And what is the advantage for India there? If you see this chart, the dark ones like Egypt, Jordan, UAE are officially in deal with Israel, whereas all other countries are also friends with Israel, but not openly. India also comes in the dark green circle, right? Obviously, thanks to Modi and Netanyahu's friendships, personal friendship, our ties with Israel were very good. Okay, now what is so special about Israel, and why should we be discussing this particular topic? So the potential discussion is India can leverage the friendship with Israel and independent countries to gain a lot of investment. If you think about it, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, all these are oil countries. They made huge amount of money using oil, but oil is no longer in demand. Every country is moving away from oil. Yes. So what is the next generation? Electric vehicles or renewable energy. Who have tons of money? These countries have tons of money. Who have the opportunity for renewable energy? India. Countries like India. So they have created something called as sovereign wealth fund. They have created something called as sovereign wealth fund. So if we attract their friendship, what will happen? We will get a lot of investment. When the oil runs off or when the world moves away from oil from these countries, automatically still these countries will be making money. How? By investing in countries like India. So that is one way to understand, right? And these countries are progressive now. Earlier, for example, Dubai or UAE didn't allow unmarried couple to book hotels. Now they are opening for even that. That means they understood that to survive in the world, we cannot depend solely on oil. We have to invest in other kind of technologies. So they also have renewable energy. Obviously, they have sun and wind, but it's not so effective. It's not totally working for them. It's not so abundant. That is why they are moving towards investment in other countries. Okay, how does this help India? India has a lot of potential. India needs investments. India's Atmanirbhar Bharat
is in coincidence with their policy. They want to invest in India, and we want to generate jobs.
We want money also.
Yes.
Then what else? How can the friendship of Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and all these countries will help India, or what can India do with this?
Sir, India has a lot of.
Yeah. Okay. Israel has a lot of defense technology. We can also. So recently, only 1 week ago, Prime Minister announced that India should become the world's largest defense exporter. We should be Atmanirbhar in defense also. Yes. How else?
Because of the friendship, the money can be reduced.
The interest rates can be cheaper. It can be received in a grant format. Okay, but they are investing in us for their future protection, right? So I don't think they will negotiate there. But the sphere of influence will increase.
Yes.
The most important thing is the sphere of influence of India will increase. I will tell you how. Who is the biggest benefactor of Israel? USA. Without US's support, Israel couldn't have survived. So the ties between India and USA have one more common parameter. That is Middle East. Right now we have climate change, service sector, software jobs, all this as a common factors between Harley Davidson, between USA and India. Apart from this, now we have a new area to discuss. What is that?
Middle East.
The Middle East. The Middle East is one more common area of interest for India and US. So this will bring India and US ties closer. That will also make a lot of impact for India. India's soft power is very powerful. We have a lot of diaspora there in the Middle Eastern countries. Apart from USA, India is still dependent on energy security from these countries for
Saudi
oil.
Arabia.
Okay, USA has moved on from these countries. USA is no longer buying oil from these countries. Why? Shale gas. USA has discovered something in its own backyard known as shale gas. All of you know shale gas, right? What is shale gas? Okay, shale, when you dig for the coal, right? Coal seams. Just before the coal, you will find natural gas. Okay, so natural gas pockets will be there. That is known as shale gas. So shale gas can be used as the same LPG. Okay, so that is why US has moved away from the oil dependence on these countries. So US is no longer needing these countries. Still, for the sake of peace and stability, it is maintaining friendships. Now, who needs oil? India needs oil. Who is protecting all these countries? USA is protecting. Plus, we also will have more common friendships. Okay. So, what does this tell about India's foreign policy? There is a wonderful line used by Prime Minister a few years ago. The hesitations of history. We are no longer bounded by hesitations of history, right? That means the Israel-Palestine headache India used to have, the hesitations are no longer bounding on India. So, what did India do? India first leveraged the friendship with Israel. Now the ties with Israel are so wonderful that we can use Israel and its friendship with others also as our friendship. Friend's friend is friend. So how do or why did that happen? Because India after 2014 made the ties with Israel properly. Okay, so that's one advantage. Second thing, if you go back even or when all the benefits we are reaping now, see, without US's blessing, this wouldn't have happened. Okay, so 1991. Should we thank PV Narasimha Rao?
No, sir. Since then, our ties were getting little stronger. But we of course we were dependent. But the investments, the sheer scale of investments were made by US.
Yes.
So since 2611 attacks.
No, by 2611 we were good friends. 2008 123 nuclear deal. 2008 123 nuclear deal between India and USA is the game changer for India and US relations. All the friendship we see with India right now, thanks to Manmohan Singh. Okay. So during the UPA first term, India and USA had a deal called as 123 nuclear deal. Its name itself is 123 nuclear deal. Because we made such deal with USA, from that moment onwards, USA understood that India can be trusted, and USA started investing more. then Obama. Like you understand, right? The flow of the story. Except Donald Trump, we had a wonderful relation with USA for almost 14 years. Even Donald Trump also, Modi went there and did election campaigning for him. That's a different scenario. But after that also, Joe Biden is comparatively decent. So the bedrock of India-US relations in the new terms is 1-2-3 nuclear deal. Because of that, we were able to make friendship with Israel 2014. So Prime Minister Modi has definitely achieved a lot in this particular arena. So this is being called as a new Quad. So some people are trying to call it as new Quad. US, UAE, and Israel are the new Quad. Who is the fourth person? Obviously India, right? But it's too early. We don't know how things will work out. And the biggest power in the entire region is Saudi Arabia, right? That also has to be considered. But for India's sake, we get technology and money from Israel. We get money from UAE, and we get money and technology from USA. Yes. So India is in a wonderful position to absorb everything. That is the power of strategic autonomy. Clear? Yes. Apart from this, what is he trying to say? There was an article about East Mediterranean region. See, this region is called as East Mediterranean region. Okay, who is the king here? If you talk about Mediterranean, Turkey is the dominant factor. Turkey is a dominant factor if I am discussing about this particular area. Okay, if I am talking about the Middle East per se, automatically who will be the boss?
Saudi Arabia.
Israel and Saudi Arabia. Do we have good relations with this person? Yes. Yes or no? We have good relations with Iran. We have good relations with Israel. Obviously, we have good relations with USA, so we have good relations with Saudi Arabia. Now, the only problem is Turkey. Turkey is having its own ambitions. Turkey is having its own power play because nobody looks at Turkey as a powerful nation. So Turkey is trying to make the most out of the entire scenario, right? So what Mr. Raja Mohan is trying to tell you through this article is India can extend its sphere of influence in all these areas also by first this, then we can this, and then later the circle of sphere of influence will slowly increase. But bilaterally, we have good relations with almost all the countries. Yeah. So we are overcoming the hesitations of history. So what can be done? So he mentions 4 points. This is also something where India can extend its influence because we need energy security. So there is a lot of scope for India's potential influence growth. And why are we able to achieve all these things? Because we are on the side of USA in a way to understand. And the support of USA plus India's traditional diplomacy. That is what is leading to achievement of all these things. So don't worry about what he has mentioned. Okay. Just focus on the map. What happened? You can understand, right? But the thing is, except Afghanistan, almost we have very good relations with the rest of the countries. Now, Black Sea. Black Sea is a continuous topic. It's an evergreen topic in UPSC. So Black Sea and the map of Israel, all these areas are very important for your prelims. So I suggested you to buy an atlas. Yes, you can purchase an atlas and see it every day for 5 minutes. Because if you see Google or internet maps, one day you will see this map, tomorrow you will see some other map, day after tomorrow you will see a different map. But if you look at your own atlas every day, that memory will be printed in your brain. In the exam hall, you won't be confused. For example, are Lebanon and Israel neighbors? Sure. Does Israel share boundary with Mediterranean Sea? Okay. Are Israel and Egypt neighbors? Are Israel and Egypt neighbors? Sure.
Yes.
So while we are discussing the same Israel topic, the basic map pointing should be at least kept in your mind. The most important thing we discuss is Gaza Strip and West Bank. This pink color is Palestine. Okay, the rest is Israel. This entire thing is Israel, whereas only the pink one and the West Bank are Palestine. Okay, so this is Gaza Strip, and this one is West Bank. Okay. Next. One more controversial area is Golan Heights. This is also a probable prelims question. Golan Heights is in Syria. Okay, it is actually supposed to belong to Syria, but Israel has occupied it. Just like Tibet is a buffer zone, right? So Golan Heights is a buffer zone between Syria and Israel. Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, all these are neighbors of Israel. Just remember that much. Now, what is Israel trying to do? Israel is trying to build a wall. Okay, so that one day it will be totally isolated. So if you have to move from here to here, you need the blessings of Israel. Okay, you are totally landlocked. You can understand, right? Even this is misnomer. If you actually see the present map of Israel and Palestine, even within these areas, Israel has occupied a lot of territory. So very few pockets are left for Palestine. In 1919, if you see the map, just reverse it. Israel was very less. The rest was occupied. The rest was actually belonging to Palestine, Arabs. Then Israel asked for a piece of land. The Arabs said no. They had a 5 days war. Israel occupied everything. Okay, so it was their loss. Yeah. So when someone yes.
So that we can expect a question world history from Israel.
No, because
how did Israel got the land?
Yeah, kind of. You can technically expect a question, or what was the world in that particular sense? The 5 day war between Palestine and Israel. What happened? Yeah. But till now, it's a controversial topic, right? So they didn't ask it. They might. Are we clear? So why map pointing is very important for IR? Because once you understand the context on how each and every country is connected, automatically it makes a lot of sense. For example, in today's Hindu paper, there is an article about Yemen. International section, there is an article. What was the article? Yes, it's there, I know, but what is it? Where is Yemen? 5 rupees. If you tell me where Yemen is. Below Saudi Arabia. Before class? 500 rupees. Okay, before class started, if you have told me where Yemen is, I would have given you 500. Yes. What is the article? Downside, right side, right or left? 10,000 children. So Yemen, prelims questions can be like this. Houthi rebels. Houthis. Houtis. Houthis. Where are Houthis? Or what is Houthi? Houthi is a group. Okay, militant is depends on which side you are standing, whether you are standing on the other side or this side, right? Okay. Yemen. So Yemen is having some issues with Saudi Arabia. Yemen is having issues with Saudi Arabia. Iran is supporting Yemen rebels. Saudi Arabia plus USA are bombing them. Okay, so this is the problem of Yemen. Around 6 lakh children will have a high chance of going into malnourishment. Okay, and it's a humanitarian disaster. Right? Why are we not discussing about Yemen? At a macro scale, you have seen 100 articles on Afghanistan, but we hardly see 1 or 2 articles on Yemen. Why? The sheer global presence of Saudi Arabia. Nobody is talking about the citizens of Yemen. I'm not saying all of them are saints, but at the same time, the humanitarian disaster, whenever children are involved, we cannot blame children for the problems of the elders. So why the war between Iran and Saudi Arabia are fought in some poor country? They are not fighting directly. They are happy with their own respective assets. Yes or no? Who is dying? The children of Yemen are dying. That is the context of that particular article. So when you see map pointing next time, you understand the context. Why a particular question is there, where a traditional group has been mentioned. For example, Houthis. Houthis are mentioned in Yemen. Okay, like that. Do you know any other groupings? Famous names. Hamas. Where are Hamas?
Palestine.
Hamas are in Palestine? Sure. Okay. Haqqani?
Afghanistan, Pakistan. Sirajuddin Haqqani.
Haqqani network is in Afghanistan, Pakistan, the tribal belt. Rohingyas?
Myanmar.
Okay. Rakhine? Rakhine is also in Myanmar. Rakhine is Buddhism, Buddhist grouping. Rohingyas are Muslims. So Rakhine's killed Rohingya.
Situation demands.
For what?
To take up violence.
To take up violence. When does a situation not demand? You tell me. When you're driving in the Hyderabad traffic, okay, suddenly he takes a right turn. He's in the extreme left. He will go all the way till right. Okay, don't you feel like beating him? So these things are very common. So every other opportunity is every day there is an opportunity for violence. Right?
When there is relative deprivation, the relative deprivation basically causes this resentment. Sheer volume of resentment. Then arms come.
Okay. So some other day, some other topic, right? So Uttarakhand rainfall touches 47. Yesterday we were discussing about Kerala. We are back to Uttarakhand. Both are man-made disasters only, right? Floods or earthquakes don't kill. See, there is a beautiful quote, right? Earthquakes don't kill people, bad buildings do. If you are lying on the ground, earthquake does not actually kill you. Only bad buildings will kill you. In the same way, if you are in the path of the river, if you constructed a house or something, automatically you have a high chances of death during floods. Okay. In the same way, a lot of people are killed in Uttarakhand. So why is this happening? Unplanned urbanization. Automatically, if we construct houses on the slopes, hill slopes, right? The soil weight will get loose and there is a high chance of floods. Climate change is also accelerating the cloud burst. For example, if you are burning wood, that will lead to black carbon. Black carbon will settle on the clouds or the glaciers. Glacier outburst will happen, melting will happen. All these things are either linked to climate change or unplanned development. So what is the solution? Sustainable development. All of us know this, right? Can we do anything about it? For a 10 marker, you can write 6 points. Yes or no? For a 10 marker, you can write 6 points. Apart from that, in reality, nothing. Don't worry about how to change the world. Right? Focus on how to write better points. Can you draw an India map? Yes or no? Can you draw an India map? Okay, not like me. Yes, can you draw an India map? Can you mark out Uttarakhand? Okay, floods, Ahmedabad floods, Uttarakhand floods, Kerala floods. Okay, West Bengal cyclone, Andhra Pradesh cyclone. Like this, if you can mark out 6 or 7 natural disasters that can happen in India, a 10 marker question preparation is done. Apart from that, you don't have to worry about anything. The rest is easy, right? Sustainable development, disaster mitigation, plantation, afforestation, ecological sensitive zones. Like this, if you throw some 10 words, okay, your 10 marker answer is prepared. Who should be responsible for all these things? These are all called as anthropogenic issues, anthropogenic disasters. Anthropogenic means human induced disasters. Okay, clear? So I think last to last class, I don't know which batch I told you, all the seats should be given to women. Which batch? I think your previous batch, I think. So there was a discussion one day. I said if Congress wants to defeat BJP in the next upcoming election, it should come out with out of world solution. That is, give all 100% seats to women. Only women should fight. Rahul Gandhi should step down and all the. Then I think Manogna said, sir, it's very utopian. Right? Then I said, what's wrong with that? For 5 years, we can have a consensus that Congress will only give tickets to women. Okay. Don't you think women, 100% women parliament, I mean, at least one party will lead the change? No? It won't work?
It will work.
In what sense? Winning or working?
No, sir.
There are two things, either to win or work.
Win, sir. Not work.
It won't work. Why?
No.
Women can't work?
Not about women, sir. Suddenly you cannot bring some woman and do.
See, probably politicians are the only post in the world where you don't need any qualification. Yes or no? You are a anguta chap. Like you are an illiterate fellow. You don't have anything about anything. I can make you defense minister. There is no bar, right? I mean, think about it technically. You want to clear UPSC exam, prelims, mains, interview. You have to jump through so many loops. Then interview, they will grill you. Then training, then lavasna. After that, they will give you SDM post. Not even DM, SDM post. 5 years, then DM. But defense minister of the country?
That is what I'm saying. That won't work, but it will win.
Why? Why won't it work? It worked
Because
like that for 75 years, right? How many MPs and MLAs today are trained in administration? How many of them can spell public administration?
That is why we were winning, not working.
We are winning, not working. So you don't believe that India is working well?
It's a degree of work varies.
Okay, fine. So already in panchayatis, for example, local self-government.
Pati Panchayat.
Pati Panchayat is not 100% valid even today, right? It is diluting. Again, it is there, but look at the sheer numbers. Local self-government, that means panchayatis and municipalities. Around 16 lakh women are there in panchayatis at various posts. And more than 21 states in India gave 50% reservation for women in local self-government. 50% seats have been reserved only for women in 20 plus states. Just imagine the number of women at the ground level. Yes or no? So what Congress should do is, instead of, as you rightly argue, not giving directly 40%, I can give promotion. If some Sarpanch is doing well, I can promote her as an MLA. If an MLA is doing well, probably I can give her an MP seat. Right? So that triangle can be created, right?
Yes, definitely.
The triangle of hierarchy. You prove yourself as a Sarpanch, then I will elevate you to MLA. So the political party itself is giving a chance to all the meritorious workers. Then everybody will try harder to get into the better books of the thing. But if you are appointing someone because she is wife of some ex-minister or she is having 300 crores, automatically that will demoralize the entire lower cadres. So that can also be one way to reform the political system in India. Yes.
Rewarding meritocracy.
Comedy. Yes. First, we should have some comic relief. EU is saying that GM rice has been exported from India. Only two things will happen. Either GM rice was actually grown in India, which we were not aware of. Okay. Then the entire debate of GM crops in India will become a joke. Or this argument is a joke. Only two things. Why? There is an institution called as Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee under MOEF and CC. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee in India gave permission only to BT cotton. And the trials for BT brinjal and all those things were applied in a tested environment, not in open market. So India has given permission only for BT cotton to grow in a mass scale. Okay. So even if Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee gave permission, okay, the final S has to come from MOEF and CC, right? And rice is a product which majority of Indians consume. And the biggest reason why we haven't given GM permission is we are afraid GM crops will do some harm. What is the irony in that argument? We are okay to import GM oil. all the oil, all the canned food, all the manufactured food that we are importing into India is from GM crops. Totally fine. But if we directly eat rice, something might happen. Our IQs might change. Yes? So government of India is very serious in not allowing food crops in India. Eminent scientists have time and again asked the government to allow GM crops because GM crops will have high yield, right? They are pest resistant, drug resistant. So a lot of things can happen. But in spite of all these things, government of India is not in a mood to give permission to GM crops. Okay, point number one. Now, what is that company saying? That company is saying a lot of rice has been imported from India, which is GM. So what happened? Either our regulations failed. That means somebody brought in seeds and planted GM crops. Okay, which actually happened last year. HTBT. Other countries have GM crops, right? The seeds can be imported and they can be planted. Yes. So some farmers brought in herbicide tolerant BT cotton and they started planting it. India did not give actually permission to these crops also, but still seeds were available on roadside. You can understand the failure of regulation. So this should be either buried by government of India as soon as possible. If it is true, if it is false, we should fight it very vehemently. Why? We export almost 65,000 rupees worth of rice to the world, and we should not have the label of GM crops. Clear? So this is more or less useful for your prelims perspective. Remember what is the organization which gives permission, what are the crops that are allowed in India. So far, not a single food crop has been allowed. The other commercial crops like cotton and rubber also was introduced last year. GM rubber, genetically modified rubber, that was dedicatedly created for northeast part of the country. Okay, only two things: no food GM crops, but oil, GM oil is allowed. Okay, irony, right? Stocking and its issues. So aspiring model was stabbed to death because she refused someone. So this can be an example for your patriarchy. Yes or no? So hundreds of times I have told you the things we show in movies like stalking or following someone are all crimes under Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013. But the awareness is still not in the society. So stalking is a crime, and stalking after 1.5 years might lead to such kind of atrocities. And she was killed in front of her own home. Very sad. Yes. Right. But the moral outrage is not there. Because people don't have masala, right? Yes or no? If they have some masala, they would have made it a severe issue. But the problem is every day so many women in India faces similar incidents. See, as a kid, if you are in 10th class, 8th class, if you are not aware, if you are following some of your classmates, I'm not saying it's justified. It's ignorance, stupidity. But after a certain amount of age, you should come under the purview of law. Law should make sure that you know that it's not your fault. In ethics also, there is a concept called as ethics under law. That means it's your responsibility as a citizen to know the law. If I go to Goa and I'm not wearing helmet, sir, I'm not from Goa, I don't know the rules. Still, you have to pay fine. If you are coming to Goa, it's your responsibility to know what are Goa rules for helmets. Goa should not, say every time, right? In the same way, if you are a citizen of this country after a certain age, you should be aware of the laws, right? It's the certainty of the punishment, not the severity of the punishment. So all those people who defend, capital punishment for rape, murder, stalking, they should understand this. It's the certainty of the life. If I do some crime, I will be punished. That fear should be in the mind of the criminal, right? I mean, see, even today, when we see a traffic constable, you are driving without helmet or a license. Okay, you stop and think, okay, he's there, right? You are afraid of that very thought. Okay, that thought itself is a deterrent, not the constable of 60 kgs. He cannot stop your car. But the fear that if something happens to the constable or if he stops me, I will be punished is more important, right? In this, right? I hope you understand. Yeah. And one more stupidity, the country of ironies. So a Zomato call center guy said, he called a Tamilian and he said he was speaking in Tamil. Then the call center guy was preaching, you should learn Hindi because Hindi is a national language. Okay. Yes. Is Hindi a national language? Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's an official language.
Official language.
The national language is different from official language. There is no national language for India. We only have official language. Okay, national language is cricket. Everybody understands. No? Okay. First of all, understand why Radha Kumar. 2014 Manmohan Singh government appointed 3 interlocutors. Interlocutors are the people who can communicate between the state and the system. Interlocutors. So in Jammu and Kashmir, Manmohan Singh government appointed 3 people as an interlocutor. That means they are the people who roam enter Jammu and Kashmir and tell the government what is the problem or what is the pain of Jammu and Kashmir people. One of those persons was Radha Kumar. So that is why she is an expert on that particular area to write this article. Point number 1. Second thing, obviously, there is some BJP bashing. In the article, somewhere hidden in the lines, there is some BJP bashing. So what is the core crux? Whatever she wrote in the first 4 columns is very self-explanatory, and it's true that there is a lot of crime that is happening against the Kashmiri Pandits, the Sikh community, and government is trying to protect them, but because of the lone wolf attack in nature or hybrid terrorists, she mentions, right? Hybrid terrorism, hybrid militants who are part-time militants. Morning, you are a bike mechanic. From 5 to 7, you are a terrorist. Open Uber. Yes or no? Just like that. So how can I catch you? It's very next to impossible. Even your parents won't know what your actual job is. Yes or no? Yes. Good job, right? No? Yes. Sick minds. Okay. Then what should be the solution? We have discussed this article in multiple ways, right? We know that government is trying to bring development. Terrorists don't want development, because if development comes, nobody will join terrorist groups and it will affect the development. So what is the solution? She says that there should be a multiple strategies. The best strategy, she argues, is counter-insurgency plus peacemaking. Combinedly will give better results. So what is peacemaking? Should we talk to terrorists? No. We should convince the people who are supporting the terrorists. Do you remember the tree diagram?
It's the roots.
The roots, right? If we cut off the roots, the tree will fall. That means people who are supporting these terrorists should understand in the long run, it is in their better interest not to support the terrorists and allow the developmental activities to come into Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, you cannot forever protect Jammu and Kashmir like China did in the olden times, right? The closed country. You have to open it. You have to allow the migrants to come. See, when migrants come to Jammu and Kashmir, it's not like locals will be kicked out. Yes, local will also get the benefits. It's the state's responsibility to prove that using pilot projects. Okay, once we create that confidence that, you know, the permanent resident of Jammu and Kashmir who are right now will have the land, will have the access, they won't be going out anywhere, but the development will come, it will reap benefits to you. You give your house to Oyo. Okay, you are getting money, tourists are coming, at the same time, you are also making some extra money, some developmental activities happening. For peace, then automatically people will start supporting these terrorists. Right now, what is happening? Government is using some tactics like social media ban, internet ban, controlling the journalists, arresting the journalists, removing people from the government offices without explanation. So all these things are creating some animosity. I'm not saying, again, please understand, I'm not saying everybody is innocent in that group. Everybody who are removed or arrested is not innocent. But the thing is, because of the 30 or 40 people, the rest of the 600 are affected. The rest of the 600, when released, will give shelter to the terrorist. Next time he will give that, see what he was accused of, he will do next time. Because how the state has treated them. And the only ways the state knows is throw everybody in the locker. If no attacks are happening, someone is a criminal. Yes or no? It's like arresting all the entire colony for thefts. Yes or no? So that's the problem. So the brute force methods of the states are not going to work. Second thing, the local leaders. Yes or no? The local population will always have someone, some Maulana, some Mufti, or some elder person. Somebody will be there who will be considered as authority. If you go to your colony, some elder might be there who is respected by everyone. If he comes and say, calm down, probably people will listen. We have to identify such people and make them tell their side of the story. So these things will take time from the system. Okay. So that is what she is expecting. I'm sure Indian government will realize all these things sooner than later, because Kashmiri Pandit is a very sensitive issue for the present government. Yes, because everybody had very high hopes on BJP government to restore the Kashmiri Pandits back into, relocate them. If that does not happen, election time, Ranveer Singh, sorry, what is that movie? Ranveer Singh and Anushka Sharma, Band Bajao Bharat during election. Okay, that's it. Any questions from the Jammu and Kashmir issue? It's an ongoing issue. Don't worry. And Radha Kumar is from Congress. I mean,
yes, sir.
so BJP won't ask you questions. So don't stress it out.
But the measures which he has suggested are
Who is going to tell it?
long-sighted.
Yes. So we need short term. You are saying that you are supporting her.
The measures which she specified, like peacemaking and all, do they actually work in the real?
Yes, it has worked, right? Like, see, empirical data in 2000s, the infiltrations used to be 5,000 plus. In 2019, the infiltrations were in hundreds. So when 5,000s were there, 5,000 infiltrations, terrorism and all these things, you must have seen that Roja movie, right? So a terrorist used to come as if they are going to a dhaba. That was that easy back then. Okay. India worked very hard to maintain peace. From 2000 to 2014, almost, there was peace in Kashmir. Occasional skirmishes were there, but there was more or less peace, right? Even the citizens will be tired, right? If I'm from Kashmir, every day if there is a ban, if there is a lockdown, as a shop owner, what will I do, right? So people want peace. Kashmiris want peace. Everybody wants peace. It's the vested interest groups which do not want the peace. And how the state is dealing with them makes all the difference, right? And we have an image to maintain also. So right now, if we make a small mistake also, the entire world will start zooming on Jammu and Kashmir. At the same time, we cannot stop the killings. It's a very difficult scenario for the government. So see, all these headaches will come. That is why Congress government was happy to leave the Jammu and Kashmir. BJP had the courage to do something about it. Now it is paying the fees. Okay? Do something, you'll pay the price. But if somehow Amit Shah pulls off a miracle from this scenario and maintains peace from now onwards, it will be to his credit that he stabilized the Jammu and Kashmir for India. So that's a huge challenge that they are facing. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Self-explanatory article, not at all important, but understand two terms. One is vertical reservation devolution. The next one is horizontal reservation devolution. What is horizontal? Yesterday I told you, right? Within OBCs, subgroups are not getting the reservation. Which committee report? OBC committee report. Justice Rohini committee report. Yes. It's a very good article by Ashwini Deshpande, getting to the heart of casualty. Have you read this article? Please do read it. It makes a lot of sense. So how shall we proceed about it? How many of you have read this article? Majority of the crowd haven't. Okay, so we will discuss tomorrow. Don't worry. What about this article?
Solar power.
No?
Yeah, I read it, sir.
Most of you have read. Why? It's easy. This one is complicated, so you skip it.
Not complicated, sir, but
You
I
thought
it's
not important. Okay. As a policy maker, it's very important, right? First of all, she talks about random controlled trials. Then she talks about why the Nobel Prize was given to these people and how it makes a difference to you as a policymaker. Okay. So tomorrow you read, we will discuss. Okay. Don't skip it. I did suggest it, right, in the suggested articles.
You have time.
Acha, it was in the time also. No. Only 3 articles from Indian Express are in the suggested. If you have time, the rest, this one I have thrown in the Opinions only. Okay, fine. What about this article? Solar power.
Mostly prelims questions are there, I felt.
Oh, there was already a prelims question, but the summary is this. This is the most important thing. See, renewable energy is going to be the game changer for the country. No questions there. But the most important thing is how the system should support the startups. Only when there is an ecosystem. Ecosystems are two kinds. First of all, the technology to create the solar panels, right? Next one is that the ecosystem to create those startups. So what she's talking about is the ecosystem from policy side. Let's say government of India is very proactive in giving you support to create solar panel startups. So what kind of permissions will be there? For 3 years, you can self-certify. Okay, you will have tax rebates, or you can get rebates in exports. Like this, if government of India is supporting, more people will start a startup in relation to solar plants. That kind of systemic support is needed from the system. That is what she's arguing, because people are smart enough to design their own chips and all those things. That's a technical side. They can take care of it. But what the state should do, the state should create that ecosystem where if I'm investing my life in creating a new kind of solar panel, I also have the assurance that I will get the patent very quickly. Right? I should also get the assurance that my exports will be comparatively cheaper. You won't tax me too much. You won't throw me under the 28% GST slab. If you promise me all these things, then I will plan a startup in solar energy. So we need solar energy to meet INDC targets. Yes or no? And in every
Solar
place,
Alliance.
International Solar Alliance for exports. Let's say like a vaccine, if we have created a low cost photovoltaic cell, which can be exported to the rest of the world, the first person who will be coming to your office is Prime Minister Modi. Yes or no? We can export more. Atmanirbhar Bharat. So you have a lot of scope. What we need is, but that policy support. In reality, what will happen? We are reactive nation. That means once your industry starts being successful, then I will come and start giving you policy changes. But we have to start from the scratch. So that is what. Yes. Sir.
We should not be reactive. We must be proactive.
Yes, exactly. And this is also a very interesting line. There must be academic collaborations. What you read in colleges is C, C++, Java, Amirpet. Yes or no? What you are expected to do is something else. But if in the college itself, someone tells me, I don't have to use balance sheet, I can use Excel sheet. Okay, I will learn more about Excel sheet in the college itself, right? Only after coming out of the graduation, doing all the commerce problems, then someone will tell me in office, you will actually use Excel sheet. Yes, then you won't have any problems. From first year of the college, if you learn Excel sheet also, you'll become a good accountant. Why do I need to learn all the LIFO, FIFO, BRS, idiotic stuff, right? So those are from commerce, you can understand. Yes, from engineering also, I think you can understand, right? Whatever you're learning in engineering is not being implemented in the real life, right?
Yes, sir.
You learn EC, CEC, whatever. At the end of the day, you join Infosys as a computer engineer. Why did you learn about EC then? Yes. Again, that's just my observation. I might be wrong. There are people who are working in technical fields also. So in the same way, if in the college itself, the industries tell me that this is my demand, okay, then students will also bring new innovative ideas. That collaboration is missing right now. So by doing all these things, they are arguing that Tamil Nadu can become the
global player,
world famous in solar energy. By copying Tamil Nadu, automatically Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, everyone can develop. Yes or no? Yes, I hope it works. So prelims questions, there was already one question in 2016. If you can find that question, just go through it. If there is anything important, we will discuss. Okay. Any questions from what we have discussed? I think it will be a bit too much for UPSC perspective. Okay. The basic understanding of, see, again, always remember, something has to be like in the news for 10 to 15 days. Only such questions are asked by UPSC. If genetic engineering crops came today, if the issue continues for 10 to 15 days, then GEAC automatically becomes important for your place. Photovoltaic cell came only once, it's gone tomorrow, no issues. But if DRDO introduces some new photovoltaic cell. Prime Minister Modi started promoting it. It was in the news for 15 days. Then how does solar cell work? What is photovoltaic cell? All these things becomes important. Clear?
So is this the same case with the coal?
Coal energy futures are more important. For example, coal futures. What are futures? See, coal price is not increasing per se. Coal futures are increasing. So there is a difference, right? So for basics, why Indian coal is inferior to imported coal? That is your core geography, static part. All of you know, right? Indian coal is substandard coal. It has low ash content. It's completely useless, high ash content. It's completely useless in a way in comparison to the imported coal. But the problem with imported coal is Japan is buying, Australia is buying. So we have to buy imported coal. We have to compete with other countries. That is why the price of coal is increasing. The coal features are increasing. Feature is a contract. Okay. So the terms like that will be important for you. Clear? Yes. Yes. What's your name? Okay. You? Shall I end the discussion here? Yes. So see you all tomorrow. And try to think about the questions I gave in the beginning.